Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Germ.
Tonight
How are
we've
you?
got the. Hello, I'm Germ. I'm joined by Edge of Insanity, and we are here to cast the finals of the Dawn of Industry World of Tanks Clan Wars. I said Clan Wars already. We jumbled it up already. Dawn of War Clan. Bleh. Dawn of Industry Clan Wars 2020 Asia vs NA show match. Bam, you go.
Yeah, we're here to actually watch the battle between the APAC server and the NA server. So it should be a pretty good matchup actually. ATLUS, the clan that came in first on the C server, um, managed to farm themselves a pretty hefty 10 million fame points in the last campaign. And Mahou, which finished first on NA, managed to farm themselves just under 5 million fame points. But between the two clans, they should provide us with a pretty good matchup, actually.
Yeah, indeed. Mahou always at the top. I mean, let's be honest, they've been at the top or very near the top for the past several years, and they've been on their game in the last few tournaments that I remember casting, except maybe it was the last one. But in the international tournaments, they've put up a good fight against EU teams, and they've done very well against Asian teams before, I believe, as well. And yeah, I know very little about ATLUS, but it should be a good set of matches. Last time NA and APAC fought each other, the APAC team did very, very well, to a lot of people's surprise, but they played very well, and I don't think that this is going to be a pushover by any means.
No, I don't think so at all. If I remember correctly, both times NA and APAC have fought each other. The current score is 1-1 right now, with NA having won once and APAC having won the most recent matchup, which was last year. Um, so it should provide us with a pretty decent set of matches. Because the score lines have always been pretty close. If memory serves correctly, it was 7-6 NA for the first one, and then 7-6 APAC for the second.
Yeah, two tiebreakers, and now tonight we have the third tiebreaker, so to speak. Hopefully tonight goes to a tiebreaker, and then we have the tiebreaker of tiebreakers to decide who's the best at winning and just by. But yeah, we've got a best of 13 tonight. We have about 2.5 minutes until the start of the first battle. It will be played on the first map will be Karelia. The other are going to be Steppes, Himmelsdorf, Sand River, Malnovka, Fisherman's Bay, and if it does go to that tiebreaker, will be played on Muravanka. Now, we will be playing 2 rounds on each map, 10-minute timer. Each team will have a chance to quote-unquote defend as you would in Clan Wars, so that means the defending team, if the time runs out and they still have a tank alive or their base hasn't been captured, then it counts as a victory for them. Everything else, there's no strikes. This isn't strongholds or anything like that. It's just normal 15 on 15 tier 10 vehicles. As far as I know, there's no restrictions on the vehicles they can bring, correct?
There are none. All Clan Wars reward vehicles are available. I'm not entirely sure if the 279E is an available tank in these particular games, because I don't see Mahou having readied one up. Um, but I mean, unfortunately, we have different accounts compared to what the actual players have, so we don't have exactly the same vehicles available to us to be able to see. Um, so we'll have to see once we get in exactly what tanks are available. But I do know that all the Clan Wars reward vehicles are an option for them.
Yes, and we've got about 1 minute until we go in. Any predictions? What do you think the final scoreline will be tonight?
I think it's going to be pretty close. Just the ping factor is always going to be one of those major considerations because I mean, the two teams are fighting halfway across the globe from each other. It might be 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern, but it is 11 o'clock a.m. in Australia. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how both teams manage to cope with the server lag and the ping issues that they'll have.
Yeah, the ping issue can be frustrating and people can chalk it up. Sometimes you change your strategies to go more generic rather than too finessey if ping becomes a problem. But yeah, we will be starting the first battles. It will be split amongst the servers. The first 2 maps and first 4 rounds will be on North America. Then we will switch to the Asian server. And then if it, I believe, goes to tiebreaker, it changes back again. Or no, after those 4, then we change back. But yeah,
Yes.
we're getting ready to go into the first battle. And it'll be on Karelia. And it will be ATLUS on defense, Mahou on attack.
All right, here we go. And it does look like the 2790 is available, but Mahal did go ahead and elect not to bring any for the start of this game.
But yeah, going into this, we have for Mahou on attack, they are bringing 6 IS-7s, 3 279Es. Oh, my team's got inverted. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yep, I see that too now.
Mahou is on attack, and they are bringing a bunch of 907s, EBRs, chieftains, and an artillery. Yes, our teams ended up being inverted for some reason. We thought that we had them correct, but the
they were
was incorrect.
They were correct on our screen in the mod on in the garage, but it does look like they have gone ahead and switched. So we'll just have to make sure that works.
For any clarification, guys, the blue team is actually on the mini map is Mahou. The yellow team over in this northeast corner is ATLUS, even though the team HP pools will be kind of inverted. I believe that the team HP will be correct, but it will be the wrong names. So imagine the names were...
And it does look like Mahou is taking a pretty standard setup to go ahead and take control of the middle section of the map as well as the north, electing only to send those 2 chieftains to the south just to kind of spot them out if they decide to make a massive push down the 0 line.
Yeah, we have a massive camping lineup from ATLUS, as you can see. I mean, that is very, very, very defensively oriented. I mean, there is no artillery, there are no medium tanks, there are no scout tanks. It is just beefy, beefy defense.
Very interesting choice.
Mahou going to...
Like, do you see all of the IS-7s? A very interesting choice considering the availability of pretty much every tank in the game.
Yeah, my only guess is that they're just planning to play more hold down fights, but even so, unless it's a really niche position and on this northeastern corner, to be honest, I remember there being a J1 or a K1 position that was used by an IS-7 sometimes with a small liner, but I don't remember it being all that powerful on this side, because, you know, why would you use it when you could use a chieftain?
Exactly. Just with, I mean, the IS-7 is strong. It can withstand quite a bit more arty fire than your typical chieftain, but I don't know if that's really going to pan out for them, considering just, I mean, 303 APCR pen is not something that is going to reliably pen the turret of a chieftain. But, you know, they do have the availability of being able to shoot down into them, so it'll be interesting to see exactly how Mahou breaks this, but it does look like Mahou is getting a little aggressive, at least over to try and spot out some of these tanks.
An EBR going up, and you can see that E3 is now lit. Tedster is zeroing in. He's got 12 seconds, though, before he can actually fire. Let's see if we can see the EBRs probing. I mean, they brought these 3 EBRs. I mean, this is a more typical lineup, I would say, is what Mahou is bringing. I mean, it's a generally flexible. It's just a question of how many chieftains you bring, how many 907s you bring. Some teams may not bring 3 EBRs, but I always thought 3 EBRs was fine, because depending on your spawns, you could also outplay their scouts. If the enemy team brought only 2 EBRs, you can kind of go very aggressive at the beginning. But with these 3 EBRs, the only problem is they do have to attack eventually. Ooh, Mata landing a good hit there for 45 on that IS-7.
Oh, absolutely. Zero, he did get lit, though, for that, and is taking some fire from that IS-7. Though we do see that Zero has managed to actually... Zero has gotten way up there in that IS-7, in that 907, considering it doesn't look like ATLUS really has any sort of, like, eyes on that A-line, which Mahou might be able to exploit.
Want any. So typically with this northern defense is that you end up with tanks around A5, 6, you know, 279.
Yeah, it's more of like a layered defense.
Yeah, with a flex force in the base. They're not doing that. They went completely zero line with beefy tanks. So you can see all of Mahou was able to come up to that initial plateau in the 8-9 line, and they're really uncontested. So the whole map has been given to them. The only question is, can they pressure too close, or would it be possible for ATLUS to push out? They do have a lot of heavy tanks, but if they did try to push out, I mean, that's almost certainly death. So they've got to hold on for another 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, but it's 6 minutes with, you know, what, 32,000 HP? Because those IS-7s, I mean, there's one that's a one-shot, but the rest of them are full health. Those 279Es are all healthy. It looks like Mahou is trying to sneak up the 5 line currently, right up through that central area.
Yeah, you can see them beginning their push. I mean,
yeah,
most of their tanks are just starting to make that pressure. That's the kind of correct route when they kind of have... They can't really be shot by anyone except possibly Yuhei K in his 279 could land a shot here and there, but that's pretty much it.
Knight going ahead and taking a shot from Yuhei. So it does look like Mahou's going to go ahead and try to pick out that 279. But that's a pretty defensible position for him. They should be able to pick up what is his name, Kaplana, the IS-7.
Capellana is, yeah, he's down to a one-shot. The next round will kill him, and there he goes. Now they can continue to push up and pressure that 279. You can see Big Guns and company, they are going in, and there isn't really much that can be done to stop.
No, that 279 is now going to die there, just because Mahou is able to get underneath those guns. It'll be interesting to see exactly how ATLUS deals with this, because again, those IS-7s, while they are good, they don't have the gun depression that you need to be able to stay completely hull down. Like now that those 907s are in that underground, like that under ridge position over on the D line.
Yeah, all those IS-7s staying on that absolute high ground. I mean, they can push down and go fast. That's something the IS-7 is very excellent at doing. Is it does go downhill very fast as long as it doesn't have to steer or turn direction. Problem is when it gets there, like you said, I mean, its DPM is just abysmal. It's not really going to be able to keep up with these tanks that Mahou has brought. And I mean, we're seeing it whittle down. 3 tanks are dead from ATLUS now, and Mahou hasn't really been punished all that much.
No, and in fact, ATLUS is down from the last time I just glanced at it, a full, what, 8,000 hit points? In the span of probably about a minute?
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, what was the plan with those positions? Because here's the thing, those positions where that 279 was at E89, I've played that position many times. It's a very powerful position, but it's under the idea that you're gonna try to hold something. In all seriousness, if you were gonna hold all these tanks back here, there was no point.
Well, by giving up the middle like ATLUS did, they just essentially gave the map control to. I mean, they just gave away the entirety of the map control to ATLUS.
I'm gonna be honest. This looks like a turtle by a clan that doesn't really know what they're doing. Not to be too harsh, it's the first battle. Anything can change.
Well, I think like always, this is going to be a bit of a learning experience for a lot of players. Since because
nobody's broken this is what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
has broken ATLUS's defense here before, and now Mahou's just seeing it for the first time and like, oh, we've seen stuff like this. We're just gonna pick it apart and.
Well, part of the meta for current Clan Wars is, you know, the fast flexy comp that we did see Mahou play. That is, you know, the more popular comp with the 1RD to support if you need to slow it down. And APAC, or ATLUS rather, not bringing any. And I'm still baffled by the choice of an IS-7 over, like, even in that position, a Chieftain would have been a better option.
Again, I'm expecting some of the teams they've faced, they've like ended up counter pushing, because all the I-7s except for one stayed all the way on this high ground, and I'm guessing that they were supposed to be the ones that would then kind of ride downhill.
Unless unless their ATLUS is playing for the draw.
Oh, they're definitely playing for the draw. They're on defense. They're
but I mean, in the sense that, like, that's why they brought those IS-7s, because now the IS-7 can kind of make do with its
there is only
decent turret armor, and it's got a decent amount of HP, and Artie is now at the point that it's not going to be able to work it out.
Yeah, HP's actually pretty even. I mean, maybe I spoke too soon, because I think that... Oh, here comes an Artie shell, but I believe there will be only one more after this. But as the guns just continue to go down, this is going to start to really, really trickle in.
I ultimately think it's going to come down to that IS-7 DPM.
Yeah, so you can see where Swamp Cabbage and all of these Chieftains and 907s are sitting on the cap. Now all the ATLUS guys have to poke over this ridge line.
Well, and Singer IU just bouncing that reset shot on Jihu, you know, that... Oh, well, no, they have gotten some resets, and it's only 55 seconds left, but... I mean, there's only 4,000 HP left. Yeah, I think that is about the extent of it.
Yes, and Mahou does lose they do lose a few tanks at the end, but very decisive. In 9 minutes and 20 seconds or so, they were able to pick that apart. They used a full clock. They made sure they knew where the tanks were, and they made the right...
It was definitely a textbook camp break by Mahou. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get these set correctly. But just looking at that damage that was pumped out, I mean, Tedster with the almost 6k damage in his artillery piece. I mean, the work that he put in just... It silenced most of those guns that ATLUS had on that hill.
Yeah, that was quick. And you can see from ATLUS, I mean, no one able to really get going. Even the last couple that were left alive, not quite even cracking 2,000 damage. And you can see a lot of good split going from 2k up between the snipers and all the chieftains. You see that even split in the chieftains. That means nobody was able to be focused down because all those guys lived and they were all just shooting. They were shooting on reload and they all got good damage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the pen rates, I mean, none of ATLUS's players even managed to break 2k damage. And you see those IS-7s, like, 22 shots fired by Redomax, 6 hits, 3 pens. You know, you see the damage that, you know, these IS-7s, they were shooting, but that gun is just unable to provide really a decent enough pen and decent enough accuracy at range, whereas the Chieftain can just really pump out the damage comparatively.
As I put the teams together for this one, but they swapped sides now. So
yeah, I think we leave them the same.
Leave them the same and put a 1
under Mahou.
Mahou, and Mahou will be in orange. So it should be correct this time. So I'm thinking that
we just had it backwards.
We had it backwards, and I think that it's just listed as ATLUS versus Mahou. Always like that. We just have to check which sides of the map they're going to be on.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So again, fingers crossed, guys. It is 1-0 Mahou. And all things, you know, we're just hoping that in 60 seconds we're going to be in this game. And it's going to show the correct teams in the correct spots. We got all these mods working at the start about an hour or 2 ago. Edge of Insanity mostly got them to work. And then explained it to me like you would a small child how to make mine. So that's where we are.
makes for an interesting quick scramble to get everything set up and working correctly for sure.
Yeah, and so after that first one, Mahou, again, a decisive win. Corellia is not an easy map to attack on. That is really not great. And if that's the first battle you're playing on the first map, I mean, I think these teams have known for at least a few days what maps they're playing. That is not a very good first showing. You normally kind of plan the first map a lot more than you would maybe some of the other ones. And yeah, it didn't. If that's how they're going to play the rest of it, this is going to be a fast night. But I'm hoping to be surprised.
I don't think they're going to, honestly. And let's go ahead and take a look. And no, this is a pretty... Okay, again, it didn't change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
That's weird. All right, well, we'll go ahead and do the teams. So, although it says ATLUS on the left and Mahou on the right in this tab menu, Mahou's on the left. And they are bringing 1 artillery, a bunch of chieftains, 907s, 3 EBRs, and 1 leopard. Meanwhile, ATLUS on the right, bringing 2 artillery, 2 EBRs, a bunch of 907s, some chieftains, 279 and a 907. So yeah, we're gonna have to. So if that didn't work, now I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how we're gonna do this, but we'll try to figure it out in between when we were switching servers. But for now, it does look like Mahou is gonna go ahead and take the hill pretty aggressively, though.
Yes.
At least in order to shut down any attempt by ATLUS, but ATLUS is not making much of an attempt to take it.
Yeah, you can see ATLUS not bringing anywhere close to the lineup they brought last round. They are on attack now. Mahou is on defense, so Mahou doesn't have to attack, but Mahou doesn't like to turtle or camp very much, so they are going aggressive for the south. They said, you know what, we're going to take this. Meanwhile, they split their EBRs all north. They tried to pounce on an EBR. I don't think they got it, and here comes the flex back. Mahou recognizes ATLUS is not contesting hill. The people that are assigned to stay are staying. The rest are flexing out. All these 907s and 1 chieftain just flexing back to the base. The leopards and the EBRs are continuing to run around like crazy people.
And it does look like Zerial has gone ahead and gotten picked right off the bat, so that does leave Mahou down 110. But it does look like now the EBRs are taking a bit more of the traditional mid spot to get some lights for those chieftains that are on the hill now.
Yeah. I've seen those EBRs drive around, and one thing the Mahou EBRs have done a very good job of last game, and it seems like in this game, except for one being taken out, is when they recognize there's areas of the maps the enemy's not contesting, they may not even wait for the call. They're kind of flexing, gobble up land before the enemy realize.
And just like that, Mahou has turned the game into an east-west game instead of a north-south game. Very interesting choice by them, but they have gone ahead and taken some of the more defensible positions because they can farm that A line from an entire push as they come down. Interesting. The Mahou 907s are... It looks like they're flexing? Are they pushing directly into those chieftains that are down there?
They
were. No, they're backing up. They took a shot, and it looks like they're backing up now.
Yeah, it looks like Big Guns is continuing down a little bit. The rest are all stopping, and I believe they're just sending blind fires right now at that A3 bush and the ridge line.
More of your traditional defensive positions played by Mahou with Big Guns going out there to get those eyes. They'll have to dig him out if they want to push all the way down onto the cap.
Yeah, so what Mahou has done is there's a few ways to play defense in the Northeast. You can just do a turtle, sort of like what ATLUS did in the first round, except, with a little bit more, you have to take a little bit more. But Mahou said, if you guys are coming south, we're going to bring the lineup that can fight south, and we want to win south. If you guys want to fight, we're just going to fight. They didn't fight. Said, okay, we're just going to take the hill. We're going to hold it. We're going to anchor two areas of the map, and we're going to flex, and we're going to take as much of the middle as we can, and then just try to be more reactive than you can be and make you waste time. Because right now there's 7 minutes remaining, and let's be real, where's ATLUS going to push?
Not really.
It has to be north.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, Mahou has managed to establish themselves in a position that will just... It'll just crossfire the hell out of any direction that you push. If you push down the A line, you'll get shot from the hill and their base. If you push down the 0 line, you'll have to dig out the hill before you can make it through there. That'll eat up time, and then the 907s can easily flex down and get into a position. Ooh, bad hit. Big Gun's going down, though. It does look like he got taken out as well. So that does complicate things a little bit for Mahou as far as getting lights down that A-line.
My bugged up. Did he get crude?
No, well, I can't honestly tell, but it doesn't look... It looks like he lost all of his HP.
Oh, the mod just updated. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? But yeah, so mark my words. As I told you guys, you can see the entire dispersion here where this map has been split. In the end, it's going to be a push down this A line, or it's going to be a push towards the hill from K line. Maybe a tank will go up through middle. Maybe they'll try to do a B line push as well. That's another avenue that they can take. But that's it. There isn't really another way for them to push. So for the next couple of minutes, ATLUS needs to decide where do they want to push? How are they going to push this? And those are really the two options. So if you're watching this and you're ATLUS, where would you push is how you should think about it. And think about how Mahou's kind of a step ahead right now because they're going, we know these are the two ways you guys are going to push, and we're kind of just trying to be prepared for both. Now they're flexing all their tanks back south. Again, just probing, trying to catch if there's a timing push. They want to just be ready.
And it's interesting. It's real interesting. It's in Mahou. I mean, there's a reason why they have the reputation for being the best clan on the North American server. Their setup, while it's light in the sense of being able to flex around quickly, bringing only the one arty does put them at a disadvantage due to with the time clock because ATLUS does have those two CGCs.
Push. This is a
Mahou
question
push.
Mark to me. I don't know why they would necessarily do this at 4.5 minutes. They're expecting, okay, if the enemy's not here yet, then they're getting ready to push north because there's not that much time left. But this could go badly for Mahou. They need to really outplay them because their push got lit by that EDR who was not scouting there earlier, but then started to scout. I mean, this could be a godsend for that.
And the IS-7 and the 907 down over in that river are going to be difficult for them to dig out. Now they are kind of in a crossfire in that position there. Interesting choice.
Yeah. They're coming across this 3-4 line. They're gonna... I mean, there's 6 tanks in the base for ATLUS that were getting ready to push south, or they were forming it up, but now Mahou's in an awful spot. They're down 4 tanks. They have killed 1 enemy 907. They've probably... Oh, nope, the EDR does slink away. They are trying to pick off tanks that they can. This is going to come down to, I think, player skill from Mahou if they want to win this, but this should be ATLUS's game.
It should be, but, you know, at the same time, I don't know. Those two arty, if they can pick them relatively quickly, it's going to even things out a little bit, but it looks like Mahou's kind of just throwing themselves into that bowl at F2.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if this is going to work. I mean,
I think this might
The
just be
problem is-
purely a case of bad timing for Mahou.
Yeah, I think I honestly remember in either Boba or Otter this exact same thing happening, and I thought the exact same thing at the time. I was like, why are we pushing south? Like, we don't have to.
Like, it's a good play, but I don't think Mahou had enough intel on that hill on Atlus's base. I think they thought that group 907 group was still up north, and it was just a bad timing.
Yeah, if the enemy team is getting ready to push the A line, then they do kind of win the game by default. They pick off the base defenders and they just start capping. But if they're wrong, something like this can happen. And the thing that I just look at is, well, you could just go back to base, right? Like, you don't have to push south. But yeah, this is Atlus's victory, and rightfully so. I mean, Mahou, I think, made a very, very poor judgment.
Definitely an error on their part for this. This game was Mahou's to win, considering they were on defense and they had plenty of HP. But and honestly, judging by that push, that's not something you normally see coming from Mahou. So my guess would be that it was just too little information, and they pushed into what amounted to be Atlus's push in the south. If it had been reversed, or Mahou had waited probably 30 seconds, I bet you it would have gone very differently.
Now, Tedster, will you do the honorable thing? Sudoku. You mustn't let them see you cry.
Oh, missed. He's
Dishonorable.
He's got a 3 market on this account as well.
Well, yeah, so that will leave a 1-1 scoreline. I have no idea what to do with the teams now going to the next battle.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we can try switching them for this next battle to see if it fixes.
Them for the next one, because I think maybe it just permanently needs to be switched.
All right, and we do have a little bit of downtime. I think the next battle should be popping in a couple minutes.
Oh yes, it is.
Because it is on the tournament system, so it'll automatically generate the battles. Do you want to?
Let's see the post.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to take a look at.
So you can see from Mahou, Narwhal Legend, Swamp Cabbage each getting about 3,000 damage with Sensei right behind him, and Ted dishonorable 2,500 after that, and then it really trickles off. Meanwhile, from ATLUS, you have another kind of similar story with their top 2 chieftains, pretty much the same thing, except it doesn't quite trickle off as hard. But the HP overall, I mean,
the battle definitely was in Atlus's favor for most of that fight. I understand Mahou feeling that they needed to make that push, because those 2 artillery, while they didn't do too much damage in the amount of time that we had in this game, had Mahou played for the draw, there is always that possibility that those already get a lucky strike and a full pen. So I understand the push. I think it's just I honestly think it was just a situation where Mahou looked at the map and was like, we think that their 907s are still up north. Let's see if we can take control of their base. And
it could have been an overreaction too, because they had lost 2 or 3 tanks at that point. Now, one of them was an EBR, but maybe there was a bit of like hysteria kind of gripping them, and it may have been harder to actually repel the push. But because of those 2 artillery, it means that technically ATLUS didn't have as many tanks to push with. But yeah, kudos to ATLUS. So both teams winning their attack on Corellia, and pretty decisively. So credit to both of them. Our next map, is it Timmels? No, it's Steps. Steps,
yep,
then
Steps.
ATLUS will be on defense first. Anything that you feel like you're going to see on Steps?
I think we're probably going to see the pretty standard NA comp coming from Mahou. That would be my guess. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this.
Yes, I'm going to put Mahou on the left.
Yep. And let's see if that works.
ATLUS on the right.
But yeah, honestly, I'm fairly surprised by that Mahou push, but I still feel that it was a case of, like you said, either an overreaction, or they felt that that force just wasn't there, and just it was an unlucky gamble that didn't pay off.
Yeah, and it is a 1-1 scoreline. Just for anyone coming into the stream a little late, yes, there is a delay. I'm casting with Edge of Insanity. It's a 10-minute delay, so don't worry. they can't actually see what's happening in the time that it would take for the battle to happen. So don't worry. But yeah, 1-1 scoreline.
Alrighty, and while we have, what is it, 11 minutes left on this timer, I'm going to go ahead and grab myself something to drink, Jim. I will be right back.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn on some music, and we'll be back in a few minutes before this next battle starts, and we'll see you guys then.
Also, I do appreciate everybody who has gone ahead and hit that follow button. If you are just tuning in, this is the APAC vs NA Clan Wars match. There is about 3 minutes and 45 seconds until the start of the next match. Jerem and I will return to comment around the 2-minute mark. Alrighty, I'm back. How are you doing, Jerem?
Hello, welcome back, everyone. It is 1-1. We're getting ready for the next map. Yeah, some surprising things happened on Corellia, but we're looking forward to steps.
And I definitely think we're in for a treat. Just looking at the lineup right now that Mahou is bringing, they are electing to bring 3 279Es. The first we've seen from Mahou for their use, but they are only bringing one arty. And if I remember correctly, let me find my little document here. ATLUS is again on defense for this first match, so Mahou is on the attack. Interesting choice, though, of only bringing one artillery to steps, but, you know, that is a gamble. This map is one of those maps that can be decided by artillery.
Yeah, with 10 minutes, it's very hard to make 2 artillery work if you have to attack, and you can be exploited sometimes. I usually don't go for 0 artillery if I were playing. Like, I like the option of it. Just 1 artillery is enough in most situations to just be useful in these types of in these type of battles on these maps, especially in 15 on 15 coordinated play. Unless you're doing something, you're doing cliff and you just want to be aggressive or whatever, and you need the extra HP. But yeah, I think more than that, it can become a liability really fast. And if you bring 3 artillery, gosh darn it, good luck to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 907s, 2 Leopard 1s, 2 EBRs. Looks like 4 chieftains in that 1 CGC. It's a pretty standard comp, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how Mahou plays it.
Yes, and they are on a defense first, correct? No, Atlas is on defense first. That's right. So yeah, 279. Let's just be honest. They're just strong. Even if you're a good player, they're strong. Even if you're a bad player, they're strong. But in hands of a good player, facing a good player that's playing a 279, it can be a really difficult tank to deal with.
Well, with
using that armor is really effective.
Yeah, it really is. But, that one balancing factor of the 2790 is that the susceptibility of that ammo rack. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see exactly how that plays into this.
Yeah, and we have swapped the teams. So, guys, if the teams end up being inverted again, I don't know what to tell you. We're just gonna go with it being wrong every single time.
Yeah,
really.
really.
No matter what we do.
Let's cross our fingers. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's right. We've done the one thing that we can do. Let's see if it works. Interesting choice by Atlas. Hey, it worked.
Yeah, so for Mahou, as we said, bringing 3 279s, 4 chieftains, 3 907s, 1 leopard, 2 EBRs, 1 artillery. It's 2 leopards and one artillery. Meanwhile, Atlas bringing 1 super conqueror, 3 chieftains, a whole
mess of 907s,
1 261, and 2 EBR.
Very interesting choice by Atlas. I mean, they are on defense for this, so. I mean, if they get into positions quick enough with those 907s, they should be able to cause some disruptions, definitely to Mahou's EBRs. But it's still a very light comp, but even looking at it, they're pretty equal, HP-wise at least.
Yeah, and you can see these scout runs from the EBRs at the beginning. They are just sectioning it off. They're playing peekaboo with the enemy EBRs, just making sure no one does anything too cheeky. They need to stop them from getting into too aggressive positions. But yeah, Atlas may be taking a note from their loss, where they just were in immobile, low DPM tanks, and you know what? Even if you're gonna turtle, just have high DPM. And actually, tanks felled level. Bix taking a hit there in his EBR from something.
Bix and Zerial both taking a hit, but they did go. It does look like Zerial's managed to go ahead and take control of the hill overlooking the cap. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they manage to deal with this. But I wonder if it's going to turn into a situation with those 907s. They're going to push out one side, and then hope they have enough time to turn around and come back.
Yeah. So Steppes is an incredibly defensive map. The South team is on defense, very obviously, right? And when you have this J3 position coupled with the anthills and H45, and then JK45, and then the whole K7 through 9-0 area, it is very difficult to pressure in. Mahou most likely will end up having to pressure into this either F7-8 area while simultaneously taking K0 and just try to section off the map, or they have to push in on the 2 line. God, pushing the 2. Look, both of them are rough. It's a very difficult map to attack on. They have to get up HP. They need to not bleed HP early, and things need to go their way.
It's just one of the Steppes is just one of those maps that, I mean, even though Atlas brought all those 907s, just the raw DPM that tank can put out, as combined with the somewhat trolly armor profile on it, it's going to make it difficult to make any sort of push, and it does look like Atlas is more than content to just sit there and wait for Mahou to make a mistake.
Yeah, and that's honestly what they should do. The step south is just it's kind of like Corellia. If you leave it, it's fine as long as you see the right trigger and you know where the enemy tanks are like 100%. Then you do it. But otherwise, there's no reason to leave this incredibly powerful position unless the enemy has a weird wonky lineup that allows you to do so. And on those 907s, 907s are just kind of a backbone of Clan Wars. They have been for years. They're the medium tank of choice. They have a good profile, good camo, high DPM. Not the best gun handling, but still good enough.
Well, it's that RU gun handling. Throw enough stuff at the wall and some of it'll stick, so...
And the big thing is, in a brawl, they're fast enough, they have enough HP, they can troll bounce because of the way that front armor profile works, and even the side armor, that in a fight, they're very, very efficient and effective, and they're flexible. Now, you can see Mahou already grouping up on that western half, getting ready on the 2-3 line. It looks like that's where the push will happen. They will probably send some tanks into J3 just to clear that corner out, and if they can get to K4, they will, and the rest will probably hop up H4, 5, 6 and go into those anthills, but let's see what they do.
And it looks like Zero is going to go ahead and push up in H1 to go ahead and get those eyes on that line to give Tedster a little bit of vision to work. But, you know, ATLUS is just... That 907 is just so flexible that they can quickly get to either side of the map, depending on where Mahou decides to make a push. And I think Mahou's kind of running into a bit of a struggle here just getting eyes at the moment.
And you can see that 9 line, I mean, they have a staggered defense over there because they know that if all of their tanks get lit on this 2 line, that there can be just 8 907s that can all of a sudden jump on that 9 line and isolate those tanks, kill them, and then pressure the cap. So it would stop Mahou's push in its tracks, really. This is kind of the strength of going with a more mobile lineup with that many tanks on defense, because the positions are still inherently powerful. They don't have to be heavy tanks in all those positions. You still want some chieftains and stuff, but they can threaten it. So where on the previous map you saw Mahou able to split the entire map on the first round on Corellia because, well, there was a bunch of IS-7s at the top of a hill, right? Now they can't really, because there's going to be vulnerable times before they make their play, and they just need to minimize the amount of time that happens. And half of the battle is over now, so just 5 minutes remaining for them to make a push.
Not a lot of time. This 10-minute, the 10-minute time constraint, I think, is ultimately what's gonna. I think it's ultimately what's going to cause a lot of issues for Mahou and or Mahou, or however you want to pronounce it, and ATLUS for sure.
Yeah. You can see Emu was able to push up. He was that 4-line chieftain at the beginning, and he saw his opportunity to go up. That's part of just kind of sectioning it off. You can see Yamato is also there, just having a nice little proxy fight. The thing is, he has to be very careful with how he plays here. He's pretty much stuck. He can't really push out from here without dying, but he needs to do it in order to, honestly, almost bait ATLUS. So the thing that a lot of teams will do is they'll get over Ansi, they'll go for Emu here. They'll send tanks to push. If you on defense send your tanks to push to kill this guy, it's a really bad thing to do, because there's no relocating afterwards. You end up getting pummeled, you end up having the enemy team on the high ground, and they end up sectioning you off. Meanwhile, also, Mahou...
Big hit on Emu there.
Yeah, he does take a hit from, I think it was ST Tank, or it was Yuhei, it was one of the two. They do have sliver shots on the top of that turret, especially if his turret starts facing the wrong direction. But yeah, you can see actually ST Tank taking a hit in return that time.
The interesting thing about this, though, is the HP spread. I mean, both teams are pretty equal on HP at the moment. Oh, we are seeing a flex, though. We are seeing a flex from those 907s. It does look like they are going to go ahead and push out Zero, because they are getting ready for a push.
Yeah, at the same time as this 9-line push is happening, and it is Build the Wall, who I'm told is Knight the Caller, which could have something to do with it.
Yeah, here comes the ATLUS push. They're going to push out Zero and probably Melancholy. Yeah, their arty shot is going in over there, because it does look like ATLUS is confident that they're going to be able to hold that 9-line, and they can just use these 907s to push out Zero. Pick probably Melancholy and maybe Canito before they need to come back and really deal with it.
Going to make it out?
He is. He barely makes it out, but he did get out. Will Melancholy, though? I'm not entirely sure.
They're doing the right thing and trying to shoot 0-3 mark. right now, and they also now have a good position to have shots on this anthill area over here, but it's difficult for us to look at it all because of the way we do not have free camera with this
No,
mod,
we do not.
so,
Boberbella
yeah.
is going to go down, it does look like, and they are going to go... Geez, this 907 flex is just going to go ahead and absolutely dominate.
Yeah, HP still relatively even. The question is, okay, when they kill Melancholy, are they going to continue on and go for Kana, the leopard? They need
Canido?
to kill him, and then they just need to keep...
They just need to keep driving, if anything. Like, kill the Leopard 1, then push either right down the middle, or see if they can pick Tedster and Sensei. And Sensei.
Mahou's K-line push, I mean, 2-minute warning going out. Here's Yuhei in a Super Conqueror up in this position, and if you guys have ever played a Pug battle, you know, golly, trying to dig out tanks like a Super Conqueror up here, it takes forever, and House will likely be dead in a few moments.
The HP still relatively equal, though. That's really the surprising thing here. Those 907s are going to start coming back, though, but they have taken a lot of damage trying to dig out those tanks.
Interesting, actually, the 2 EBRs are on the cap, and the 907 may try to just give a wreck and shield, but
I think Rethomath... Yeah, it looks like ST Tank and Rethomath are now going to go ahead and push right up. They're going to try to push right past Cabbage, or Swamp Cabbage, and right onto Zerial.
Honestly, this shouldn't be a problem for ATLUS, but there's a chance they mess this up. Because those two 907s need to pop up and they need to spot those EBRs because those EBRs have very good camo. And actually, ooh, that shot right there was a mistake. But okay, they have the time. They have 5 seconds.
Oh, and there's the reset. There's the reset. That is game.
Ooh. Sometimes it feels a little too close, but you know.
That was an impressive push by ATLUS.
Yeah, realizing with that 9-line push that, you know, when the second they saw that, they were getting ready. They were already kind of preeminent on that push, and they got it going well, and they sent the right amount of tanks. They didn't overdo it. They didn't send too many. They stayed with the anchor tanks and the K line, and it's just very difficult for Mahou to push. It took too long. So as we get to the post-match stats, we have almost 3k damage from, okay, so say his name, Konodia?
Your guess is as good as mine. Konodio, I think? Almost 3k in that leopard?
Okay. I'm going to call him okay. His name's okay now.
Okay.
Tetster, second with the Artie. Got Geo and Swamp Cabbage, each doing about 2,000 damage in their 907 and 279Es, respectively. So, you know, not bad. I believe Swamp Cabbage was the 279 that got picked over there, was he not? It may have been...
No. Swamp Cabbage was managed to make it into the middle. He actually was alive for most of the match. It just...
Yeah, it was Melancholy that got picked over there, but he still got out a good amount of damage. Meanwhile, for ATLUS, breaking 3Ks, Rito Math in his 907, lots of shots fired, lots of connections. Many of those shots, though, are definitely blinds. Realize, guys, if you see someone fire 30 shots in this type of battle, they're blinding at bushes. They're taking low probability shots. They're just taking the shots, and if one of them hits, it can be worth it. Meanwhile, Yuhei, the Super Conqueror that was up there, doing almost 3k himself, and yeah, followed up by 907, 261, and I guess they're favoring that 261.
Meanwhile, yeah, that 261, though, I mean, as nerfed as that already is, he still managed to do 2,500 damage, 14 shots fired, 3 direct hits, and 15 splash damage, or splash tanks. So, I mean, he kept firing that whole game. But, I mean, it ultimately, I think, came down to that 907 push. It was just, it caught Mahou off guard as they were trying again to push in.
Yeah, and like you said, the 10-minute timer, people think of the 10-minute timer as, okay, I just have 10 minutes to do something. No, you have 10 minutes to be done. You have to be pushing in these types of games. Usually, I mean, when we see the 5-minute warning, that means on a map like Steps, like, things need to be in gear at that point. Like, if you're going to do another rotation, like, you can maybe get away with it to push the other side, but you got to get moving. And it takes time to kill tanks. You can't just start your push at 3 minutes and expect to win the battle. So as the timer starts going down, the defensive team can say the options that can happen are more and more limited, more and more limited. They can only come from here. They can only come from there. They don't have time to do this. They don't have time to do this. And that's, I think, what happened. And ATLUS was just able to make a good move. And again, Steps is a very difficult map to attack. So I'm interested to see now, how is ATLUS going to do it?
Just the flexibility of the 907, the DPM that it can put out. It's just... Kudos to ATLUS. They had the perfect counter for it. And that push to clear out 0 and the 1-2-3 line. Just perfect timing.
Well, whatever lineups we see, I think we're going to see a bunch of 907s from ATLUS. So here we go. We're going into game, and I am sort of right in a way that I predicted there would be 907s, but maybe not.
It didn't bring me in because it unreadied me.
Oh, you didn't ready up. Oh, no.
Oof, I did, but it didn't bring me in. So that is a thing that apparently happened.
Uh-oh.
Well, that is interesting.
Boys, we're going to do it live.
We're gonna listen now.
So, Mahou bringing a bunch of chieftains, a couple of 907s, 2 EBRs, and an artillery. ATLUS bringing 2 artillery, 2 EBRs, a bunch of 907s, and I believe it's 4 chieftains and 1 907 if I counted correctly. So Mahou bringing what I would call the more typical defensive lineup, but they are not doing anything typical. They are going to go play 9-line. Mahou doesn't typically do much camping turtling. I think they kind of pride themselves on it. Because sometimes, though, like on that Corellia, though, it came back to bite them. They want to push sometimes when they shouldn't. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But they like to simplify things. They feel like, hey, you bring 10 tanks here, we'll bring 10 tanks here. We're going to beat you because our 10 guys are good. And you can see all those chieftains pushing down on the 0 line. A couple staying on the high ground. The EBRs are sparring on the 2 line. But meanwhile, actually, ATLUS's EBR's gone aggressive, and ATLUS is going for an aggressive 3 line. We'll see if these 907s of Capellina ends up being caught out. I'm not sure if he's going to make it out or not. He should make it out. As he rounds the anthills, trying desperately to run away. You can see, too, with this add-on, we can see the consumables. The modules they have, we cannot see the consumables, though. He gets a ricochet. He's going to run. Butts of steel. Just keep running, and you'll make it over the track. No whammies, no whammies. He may take one hit here, but it'll be a snapshot. Nope, I think he's actually gone dark, so he is out and safe. Meanwhile, see the rest of the ATLUS team flexing back from the south on the 2 line. Some of them taking the positions because actually Mahou left nothing there. They wanted to be ready for that fight, and now Mahou's turned this into an east-west fight, and I actually kind of like this for ATLUS. It's still a difficult thing to attack, but coming from the K line, going down and getting a position down here at K7, if they're able to capitalize on it fast enough, can be incredibly powerful because they can use K7 along with some of these positions in here on the G line to really capitalize. The other option they can do is they can regroup, push A line, and go for these 9-0. The problem is they aren't going to have complete intelligence whenever they make their move. That's kind of the nature of steps. They know there's going to be some tanks here, some tanks there, but they can't really be sure how many. They're going to know there's a tank. They're going to know these 2 tanks are here at H8. They're going to know there's a tank here, but they're not going to know if there's more here. They're not going to know how many tanks can be lingering here at C9, right? They just don't know. Seeing here more and more probing. We did see that EBR did go down, so that's a little bit less eyes for Mahou, but he was kind of caught out down here at the beginning anyway, so he's just kind of gone. Now we can see the other EBRs. They are flexing back, but a very aggressive position by Tankfell. He's about to be lit by Anarchy. If Anarchy, yes, he should be proxying him now, but Anarchy's also going to take a hit in return. He takes 2 from those leopards. He needs to be careful not to get shot. Again, they want to get shots on Tankfell. But I think that was maybe a small error because actually, what is this push? There's a push. At the same time that's happening, here comes the counter push by Mahou. They just brought a bunch of chieftains in, and they're just saying, screw it, let's do it. Meanwhile, Yuhei proving the 279 is still quite powerful, and now is dead. Just as I say that, he explodes, and Mahou have retaken some initiative. The HP advantage is in their favor, and remember, ATLUS has 2 artillery, so they will be able to plink away damage, but they don't have the extra guns to sit there. Now, will these 2 guys, you saw what happened last time when ATLUS was able to push here. There goes build the wall down on the other side. When they had these tanks here, they lingered, but they were able to get out. Mahou's not quite going. They're not quite sure if they're pushing. And, ooh, there's a big artillery hit, 484. And now Mahou is looking like they want to pull back. Meanwhile, the chieftains over here, you can see them in their positions. And Narwhal is on the 4 line. Another tank going down. Oh, no, it just updated. Sometimes it doesn't update.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a lag there.
Yeah, sorry guys, that's a little work in progress. Sometimes something dies and we don't quite see the message for a little. So yeah, this is a lot of probing. Mahou's been wanting to get some of these chieftains out. You really don't want to be stuck there. They still need to kind of pressure it a little bit, but I think they need to get those guys out as soon as possible, because if a push does come down this one line, it can be bad. You can see the leopards are staying over here. 2 907s are regrouping to go with them to flush out the EBRs. This chieftain is wisely retreating on the 4 line. And remember, we're almost at the 5-minute mark. Mahou's on defense. They don't technically have to keep pushing. And that's, I think, what they're realizing. They want to keep the enemy uncomfortable, but yeah. Let's see what's going on over here with the 907s. Got OK over here in his leopard. And you have Sensei here in his leopard. And they were able to triangulate. Oh, Melancholy does go down. He was the chieftain that got caught there. Once you kind of commit there, it's really difficult to get out. So HP getting more and more in Atlus's favor. Gonna keep going around and see if the draw box is maybe restricting the HP, but no, it's a 5,000 HP advantage to ATLUS, and they do have 2 artillery. And there's a lot of guns dead for Mahou, so maybe that flex wasn't as efficient as they thought, because losing that chieftain here was a lot of HP. So they're doing a lot of driving back, forth, back, forth. Mahou is so split. This group and this group cannot in a million years reinforce each other. If all of these tanks group up and push here, they can win. If all of these tanks group up here and push, they can win, but it'll be difficult to catch these guys because they're going to get lit coming in by tanks poking up here, unless they go the long way, which is what they're doing, except for this guy that we're following. He's not doing the long way, so if they did have someone poke up around here right now, he would have been lit, but they had this guy screening it, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, it looks like they're gonna do an A-line push. They have a couple tanks here to defend, and we'll see. There's 3 minutes, 48 seconds now on the clock. Still a big HP advantage. It's dwindling a little bit, but I mean, it's 4,500 HP is still a lot to work with, especially with 2 artillery, but not a lot that can hold up in their ISO. So now they're consolidating. Look at Mahou consolidate. They managed with all that probing. ATLUS couldn't quite figure out how to push, it seemed, and their little decisive push is now gone, and now the positions that Mahou is taking, they have a couple trailers that are getting there, looks remarkably similar to the way ATLUS was set up in the previous game, just with a lot less tanks, right? They've got the Leopard in K7. They've got tanks regrouping to get there. They have the heavy tanks in this K7, not K7, sorry, K5 position, where they're able to hold down and punish anyone that pushes in on Mr. Pounced here. It's very powerful. And in order to push, will take a lot of HP out. Those chieftains that were here that were isolated, that couldn't retreat, have retreated. Those guys that were on the 9 line that couldn't retreat have retreated. So ATLUS wasn't able to really get either. And now it's looking more and more dire. As the push does come in on the 9 line, it is very strung out as well. Not as organized. They're not in full groups. And look at these 2 907s going down less than half health. Will Misakura go down? He goes down. ST Tank takes his first hits, but RHN Kika is now down. And now you're sitting here as ST Tank and you go, now what? Cause you feel a little naked, and Zeke crests up here, he's gonna probably explode, right? You can see the rest of the team is coming in to these anthills, but that HP advantage quickly disappearing. And now, look at this. 0 line's open again. Okay, got Geo on the move. Bober Bebel needs to stay alive. You can see Sensei of Supa Uni is up here, just farming damage, I guess. Just, you know, pew-pewing, doing some snipe. Tedster, still dishonorable, still lives. And yeah, this is going to be a Mahou victory, it looks like. The HP is actually been switched, and Mahou has the advantage now. I think ATLUS missed the critical time. They had 2 separate opportunities to push. They either needed to group up what they could, not everyone. They couldn't get everyone out of here. They need to group up what they could and go to the 9 line, or they need to group up what they could and go down here. And I think the correct answer was down here, because the 9 line, they know their Leopards and 907s kind of around. They're hard to catch. And that 9 line is difficult to get up to speed, and it's a long approach to actually get them. These chieftains down here, dead. Mathematically, you know they can't get out. You already had a tank that had pushed up to H1. You had a tank at F2. You had the rest of the tanks all in this D3 to E2 area. And you had fast tanks at B2. Send a couple of fast tanks. Go, go, go. Everyone just go. Kill these. It was at the time that the Leopard and the 907s are up here. they can't really be effective during that time. Yeah, you have to protect your army, but do you really? If you kill those chieftains, you win the game. So yeah, you can see Mahou has only lost another 1,000 HP since we last looked at it, and Atlas has lost another 6,000. Got 30 seconds remaining, and this will be, again, a Mahou victory. So we will be looking at a 2-2 scoreline, and the next map will be Himmelsdorf, I believe. And look, 3 kills, Mahou Boberfebel. I don't know when it happened. I think it was a little bit ago, but it updated. You can see Mr. Boberfebel, Boberbebel stayed alive as we told him to, and he wants more damage as the game ends, and that will be the time. What a battle! Never seen anything like it. What did you think, Mr. Edge of Insanity?
I don't know. I'm over on the APAC server now.
Oh, you're switching servers. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm
Looking at the post-game stats.
completely Pepega. Yeah.
Okay, with 4,004 damage in his Leopard. Tedster, we will not go into it. Big Guns with 3,100. Senpai with 3,000 in his Leopard. Then it trails off to 2,500 and below. 4 Chieftains, though. Yikes of big goose eggs for Mahou. Meanwhile, for Atlas, the artillery doing the top with 3,500 and 3K from Goritaro and Hornet. Then it trails off to 2,300, 2,000. No one else really able to get going with the Nipa and the Returned and Tuco rounding it out. And then there's just a whole lot of low damage at the end. And yeah, that will be a 2-2 scoreline. We will be switching servers now, guys. Yeah, and I believe we have a few minutes, correct, until the next battle starts?
Yes. Just sitting on APAC. I believe it's the Hong Kong server we're supposed to log into.
Yes, it is.
They're, currently the battle hasn't popped yet, so we do have a little bit of time.
Okay, well, I guess I'll put on some music for the next, let's say, 7 minutes, and we'll see. And we'll see how the timer does with the other server. But yeah, we'll see you guys in a few. It's a 2-2 scoreline. Next map will be Himmelsdorf. I'm 90% sure they said that. Yes, it will be Himmelsdorf, followed by Sand River, then Malnovka, then Fisherman's Bay. So yeah, it looks like we're going to go the distance, as usual, in the APAC versus NA. Yeah, we'll see you in a few. But all things aside, we'll see if Mahou will be that copy pasta or if they will upset it and change the copy pasta.
It looks like ATLUS
yeah.
is making a play for the hill to go ahead and take control of that. Mahou having nothing there, so it does look like the solution that Mahou has come up with for playing with that ping is going to be just, you know, sitting and waiting for APAC to make its mistake, for ATLUS to make that mistake.
And when in doubt, when you have ping, just go beefy. Just go as beefy as possible. As much HP, armor, some DPM, but just survival skills and just simplify it. You don't want to get into some of these players and stuff, you know, you see the 350Bs, you know what that is. That's some sort of hill play, some sort of split. They can flex really fast off the hill. It's not unusual for teams to bring 2 50Bs, even 3, sometimes 1, sometimes in particular, to try to get that advantage. But with no fog of war, you know, Mahou knows that, and now these 50Bs are going to have to somehow slot into a fight against Mice and Phalos and 279s. And it's likely not going to go well for them.
Interesting play, though. It does look like ATLUS has gone ahead and shoved Shojak and that 279E up to, like, E1. So they are trying to get some vision, so there's stuff in the back and get some snipe shots in. But, you know, at range, the 279E is difficult to pen on the best of days. At range and when they're side-scraping off of buildings, you know, that's going to be pretty difficult. I think they're pretty much firing only HE at this point.
Yes, and you can see where this defensive position is from Mahou as I slowly...
ATLUS making a push, though, right across the field. They're going to go ahead and take control of the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0 lines. Almost completely.
Yeah, it's a little slow. With 3 minutes elapsing, I mean, you saw the Mahou lineup. I mean, did that scream, we're going to push through the middle courtyard? I don't think so. I think it's taken ATLUS a little while to kind of get their bearings to figure out. I mean, they were very, very timid going up to the hill with their 50Bs. They should have known there's nothing that can really contest them.
Yeah, they definitely wasted a lot of time off of that 10-minute timer, just kind of waiting for Mahou to make a move. I mean, Mahou is famously aggressive in a lot of cases, but I think ATLUS is playing it too safe, especially considering, you know, they do have the advantage of the ping at this point.
Yeah, and you can see some of these 279s, one of them in particular is actually disengaging from the K1 area.
Zerial taking some big hits.
Yeah, a staggered defense, just very, very powerful here. It can be killed, though, and especially by tanks like Chieftains, they can do a lot of DPM very quickly, and there's a little cheeky shot from Mori-chan onto Tank's Feldwebel. See the Mice in unison on this corner here. They're just designed to be a lot of HP and just a damage sponge, and yeah, you can see they're starting to come in. They have to isolate, and probably Tank's Feldwebel and stuff. Those are the tanks that they have to pick. The Mice are there as just bait. And I don't expect the bait to be taken. You can see he actually built the wall using that tree as a way to stay stealthed and camoed there. But he has taken a hit. And you know what? They kind of know he's there.
Oh, yeah, no, they definitely do. But, you know, it's the 430U has decent enough armor that, you know, Knight can definitely be a little sneaky in that spot. He can definitely bounce a few shots if they don't have lights on him like they right now, where they're just blind firing.
You can see here, actually, if you look at Tank's Feldwebel, if you see how he's positioned as 279, it actually gets a little trickier as you ramp up a little bit with that slope. He's not exactly perfect, but if he's like on a slightly upward arch, it makes it very difficult to penetrate. And actually, you can see he's not rocking. He's not trying to be even harder to hit because Mata is using him as extended cover, and they're just simply having an HE war.
So,
yeah, that's part of the team play clan wars that you'll see. You can do in platoons with your friends, but like also is very important in clan wars.
So we currently have, what, 4.5 minutes left at this point? What is your prediction with Mahou still up 33,000 hit points?
Well, knowing DPM of tanks, ATLUS needs to start shooting for damage.
Oh,
really soon.
Knight going down. Knight is going to go down here.
He's now a one-shot, and he does go down. I guess they could say it did take them a little time to kill him, but I don't know. I don't think it was particularly worth it, but I guess they did know what came up that 5 line that can be vital information. I just don't know if it's worth the tank or not. But in the end, they have a lot of HP to spare, so Yeah, you can see Mahou just slightly ahead, about 1,000 HP over, actually less than 1,000, about 500 HP. And now, where is Atlas going to actually push?
I'm looking at it right now, and those 50B, I mean, the 50B is a great tank, but it's squishy, and with all of the HE that's being slung here, I don't know if they're going to be able to use that gun, those tanks, to like the best opportunity that they're going to have. I mean, all the mice, with the exception of Hitman, are full health, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, if they try to cap on the K65 area, I mean, that's going to be hard to accomplish with those mice there, which means they have to kill the mice. And if they're killing the mice, then there's a lot of Mahou tanks that are going to be like, oh, well, I guess we'll kill you back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only that, but those VKs can just turn around. Their bet is probably going to be able to take Bix and Mata down, which is looked like exactly like what they're going to do.
This is the
this is the push.
We were saying is the pick to begin with, but here's the thing. Tanksfell Wobble not budging an inch, he's made a roadblock. And now Mata's here and he's just hauled down, and it's like, okay, now you killed a 279, but now what? Now what are you gonna do? Even if they kill Mata, it's gonna take them so much time. They're coming in behind, they will finish him off, but oh my goodness.
Ooh, God, Notori, taking so many hits.
That's just a big old cluster expletive. Mouse goes down from the Hitman, and here comes the 279 corner brigade on the K line, and Mahou is down HP now.
Now Notori and Rithameth though are completely stuck there. I mean, that's 1,300 hit points out of the fight. Misakura is going to go down. Zero and Konoduo are going to push him.
Time is a wasting, and you can see Snowjack and Nipa are out there against Swamp Cabbage. But the counter push on that 3 line, and then the counter push, and yeah, this is not going Mahou's way.
This is definitely not.
There's a minute and a half left.
Atlas is up by now a lot of HP. Mahou down to 8,500 at this point. Another tank goes down. Rainbow Assassin dead. This did not go the way that Mahou had planned, and it does look like Atlas was able to just get the flex and just outposition it.
Yeah, they got those couple of picks. I like the idea from Mahou, but yeah, in the end, very well played by Atlas. They saw the little isolations that they could kill, namely those tanks on that H4 position, and then they just kept going and going. And as a result, I mean, they also kind of gave up the 1-2 line because they had to, and then yeah, it's just over. The Miles strat did not.
And here comes the what? 1v8 carry by Jiho.
Yeah, 279 is powerful, but not that powerful.
A little bit of team damage, it looks like, coming in from one of the chieftains on Atlas.
Down it goes, maximum fantasy points, getting the kill and the full cap. Very well done from Atlas, and they will be taking the lead with 3-2 score.
Yes, they will. Definitely not going the way that Mahou had hoped.
Let's get to the post-game stats here. All right.
Wow.
So from Mahou, see 3K for Rainbow Assassin, then falling off just a little bit to Zerial and Zero, but 4,200 from Mr. Kika, and then 3,700 from ST Tank. The 50B, hey, he got out damage, and so did Capellani and Rito Math and his chieftain as well. Look at just so much damage. I mean, there's a lot of HP over here on the Mahou lineup, but very well done. Their 50Bs, none of them did 0 damage. They all did well.
Even their pen ratios against heavily armored vehicles were very high. You know, I mean, tell you what, we had our doubts, you know, considering it was 350Bs coming up against, you know, 279s, but they were able to make the flex work, and they poked correctly when Mahou was busy to take advantage of side shots and rear shots. And were able to just pump out that damage.
Yeah, just well done by Atlas. There's nothing critical to really say. I think that they even didn't quite have the lineup advantage, although I didn't really like Mahou's lineup, but it just well done. I mean, you could chalk it up to ping or whatever, but at the same time, Atlas just played 4 games in a row on NA and had horrible ping issues, and they managed to bring it 2-2. So now they're take the first game on the Hong Kong server, and we have about a minute until the next battle starts. Let me change the score. Yeah, so now ATLUS on defense in the South. Will they go turtley? I mean, they've basically done that every time, but they had two defenses, right? They had Corellia, where they went really turtley, and it went really badly, right?
Yes, it
But
did.
then the next game, they went defensive on steps, but they had a whole bunch of 907s, and they were able to flex and counter push really, really efficiently and effectively, and that won them the game. Will they do something similar here, or will they just go flat out aggression?
I don't know. You know, it's really a toss-up because ATLUS is proving that they're able to really... They're able to play both sides of the coin. You know, they're able to play that defensive game that they need to, but their pushes have been on point. Their counters have been on point. It's an interesting situation for Mahou because, you know, Mahou is used to playing clans on the NA server which play a certain way, and ATLUS is just mixing it up on them, I guess, in a way that they're having difficulty countering.
Yeah, I'd say here's my prediction: is Mahou's defenses from now on, they're not going to turtle again. They're going to say no, screw that. We tried
That would be my guess as well.
Meanwhile, it feels like ATLUS is going, we're not going to do the super duper heavy thing, but we're about to find out if I'm lying and doing the caster.
Super duper heavy. It actually looks very similar, almost the exact same comp as what they took last time, actually.
Yeah, that's a solid Himmelsdorf lineup, honestly. I still am not crazy about the 50 Bs, but there's nothing wrong with it. It gives you flexibility.
I mean, they definitely took advantage of the maneuverability, but Mahou has gone ahead and flicked things up as well, and they brought 3 bat chats.
That...
Shout out to 2014 meta.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about that. But yeah, 350Bs tend to beat 3 bat chats very, very badly. And yeah, there's pretty similar lineups overall, though, excluding those. It's just 279s and chieftains, and it's a pretty even split, too. I mean, just only 4 from Mahou, but 5 from ATLUS.
Well, it looks like they are going to go ahead and do the typical thing. They are sending those bat chats still just to go ahead and immediately deny ATLUS of that ability.
All of ATLUS.
All of ATLUS has stopped moving.
But Mahou is not. I'm guessing that there's a disconnect. We will find out.
No, they're moving.
Admin.
Turrets are moving.
I saw a gun barrel move.
I just watched a couple turrets move. I don't know what's...
I'm guessing that somebody disconnected and they tried to call disconnect, and so they all exited. The question is whether the admin heard, because they don't want to spot a tank, because if a tank gets spotted, that's usually the rule that you cannot do. Also, we actually cannot see the chat in game, so I will wait and see what Mahou does. Even if it is ruled a disconnect, usually in this type of format, I think Mahou would go and cap out in order to end the battle.
And we did just get the confirmation from Wargaming that it was a crash, so we are going back to the hangar.
Okay, seems good. I'm just going to keep watching to make sure Mahou actually is going to go back to the garage, or if they're going to cap out to make sure that nothing gets screwed up, so that they can cap out and then just restart it, because sometimes if somebody disconnects, like, the tanks can get locked in the game. Oh, stop doing damage on the cap.
It is possible that Mahou is not sure at the moment.
Yeah.
Or hasn't been notified, so they're just seeing what's going on.
And they may be... I think they probably know now. They're all getting in the cap, they're just still shooting. But at least they've gotten 3 on the cap, so we don't have about 25. So yeah, we will be doing this again.
We will be back in just a minute. Alrighty. So we will have to wait for Wargaming to make a decision on how they are going to handle that disconnect and server crash for the for ATLUS. Most likely they'll just replay that game. They're probably in the process of manually adding it in, honestly.
Yeah, they'll have to manually add it in and get it up, hopefully with only like a very brief intermission while we wait for it to come up. I don't see any reason to necessarily go to intermission yet. But yeah, it should be popping up very soon. But yeah, I like the lineup. Those lineups from both those teams in that battle look like how I would expect them to look.
They looked like what you would expect. Yeah, the typical Himmelsdorf comps. It is unfortunate because it does unfortunately give away what they were going to do for that fight, but you know, they would have seen it anyway, so it'll be interesting to see if the teams make any last minute changes or if they run what they were expecting to run.
Yeah, we're just sitting here hanging out. Wait. Chat's going nuts. Boy, wait till you guys see this. This is a little calm before the storm. Yeah, I like these lines. It's not quite as derpy as the triple mouse strat. I'm not sure what some of those tanks were doing on the Mahou defense. I'm not sure what purpose. Like, was it Knight's tank in the tree? I'm not sure what his purpose was, other than the enemy has tanks over here on Himmelsdorf. I mean, I think that they would know that without having to physically see them, but because there wasn't really much of a reaction as a result to it. I think if they didn't get rid of those, I think Himmelsdorf is one of those maps where I don't like hard turtling. I think you can be defensive, but you have to be looking to take something, whether it's the hill, whether it's courtyard control, whether it's two-line control, or some combination. Like, you're just getting some probing, some intel so that the enemy can't just freely move about. Still waiting for Wargaming to come back to us with the next game. No word yet. But yeah, it's been a good match set so far. Hope you guys are all having a good week. Hope you guys are all staying safe out there and practicing social distancing and trying to wash your hands as much as I myself have been medicating with Dr. Pepper.
Self-medication diagnosed via Dr. Pepper. Oh, and we are back on Himmelsdorf now, so we are going to go ahead and redo that fight.
I got under 2 minutes something until the battle goes. So it remains a 3-2 scoreline. What happens if ATLUS wins this battle? It would be 4-2. You still have 2 more battles on the Asian server before you would go back to. The next map is
Sand River. Yes, Sand River. So that'll be an interesting fight. Actually, that's not a camping map. So
no, it is not. I mean, it sort of is, but it's also I'd say Sand River is.
It's much more open.
Mahou's always performed really well on it. They can do a lot of different things on it, and they like to play very aggressive on it, on both attack and defense. But they like to play fast tanks on it, finesse tanks. They like to play Leopards and EBRs and prosciuttos even, and a lot of those type of tanks, a lot of fast-moving splits on that map. And doing that with the ping could be tricky.
Yeah, tanks that definitely suffer due to ping, that's for sure.
So we've got less than 2 minutes until this next one. Yeah, Himmelsdorf's still my favorite map. As many years have gone by in World of Tanks, I've been playing this game since beta. Minimaps have been changed. Himmelsdorf's been changed 5 times.
If not more.
Consistent favorite. Yeah, it's really sometimes it's the originals that are the best. It's a great, fantastic, classic concept. You have sort of 3 lanes. You have the rail yard, you have the courtyard, and you have the hill. Now, you can chop those up into Tank Alley on the 8 line and the 3 line and so on, but the way they interact with each other is great, because some of the areas of the courtyard don't interact with hill, because if you're on the inner part of the courtyard towards the hill in the 8 line, you can't be shot from hill. You can freely move even without hill access. Simultaneously, the 3 line is like a death trap no matter what you do. 1-2 line, there's a lot of ways to play Himmelsdorf. That's why I really like it, and there's a lot of different tanks that can be used and a lot of different strats. So let's hope that this battle will be good. We've got 47 seconds. I'm going to tab back in.
We are getting ready to go back in. And it does look like Mahou is going to go ahead and keep that same comp that they had originally with those 3 bat chats. So
yes,
we should see a pretty good matchup.
I believe the rules, I have not perused the manual on this, but playing in enough tournaments and the like, they would not be allowed to change their lineup. They wouldn't even necessarily be allowed to switch the people in the tanks. Like if another person wanted to play the batch, they all have to bring the same tanks they just brought. They can't make adjustments based on what they saw. And there's no rules as to where they have to go at the start. But,
well, that does make sense, so...
Yes, you can see some obvious opportunities for problems of, I disconnected, oh no, and then, bringing it...
Getting things to be able to be changed, exactly. Alright, those 350Bs again. Mahou with the 3 bat shot. It will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes, and here we are. If we get to go again. I mean, I think Mahou needs to win this. If they don't have to. There's a lot of battle. Mahou wins or loses this. ATLUS wins or loses. There's a lot of games to be played. I'm
Yes,
just
there
interested
are.
to see after that turtle failure, stuttered failure, what they do as a response, and I think it's just hyper.
This looks like a hard push hill by ATLUS. Ooh, and is the 50B gonna... Nope, he's not.
Yeah,
He almost fell off there.
I guess physics helped him there. See Mahou going with the split. The Batchets are going to the hill with, I believe, 1 chieftain following them up. They have 1 chieftain going to the middle on the 5 line, and the rest are going 2 line.
This does look like Mahou's standard Himmelsdorf push or comp, though. They are making that push down the 2-3 line with the 279Es and the chieftains. Those Batchets, while they are going to meet most of their team on that hill, they are quick enough to get out of there if they catch it quick enough, but they're getting pretty aggressive there.
Yeah, those chieftains have to be careful not to get stuck there from ATLUS, and you can see the 279s have already been called back off of the hill push. The Batchets are all sitting up in that nook, waiting, and yeah, Mahou's doing pressure on all sides. Batchets are in a pretty good echelon, waiting with their turrets, all guns facing, and all of them will hit their shots because the Batchet is a reliable, beautiful tank, and it's always my favorite, and I still love it even though it's awful now. Too many tanks with too much armor, and there's the first engagement, and 1 shot does connect, but 2 go back onto ATLUS. And Batchets are thinking, it's time to go.
Yep, and there they go. Off the hill as quick as they can. They're going to go ahead and give the hill to ATLUS. They're going to leave. It looks like... Ooh. Conadio taking huge hits down to a 1 shot as he tries to get out.
With that.
Yeah, he took some massive hits and bled most of his HP there. He's not going to be too much of a help on a city brawl anymore. But it does look like... It looks like ATLUS might just go ahead and, like, push right off the hill. Doesn't it? No, they're going to stop?
This is a weird split. Both teams are very split in awkward numbers because they both brought, like, 1 token chieftain to the hill. And they have a couple 279s and stuff down here. You can see Swamp Cabbage and Gnarl. Like, they're all here, and it makes it awkward where if those 50Bs were to push off, all of a sudden they're not necessarily in a winning fight. But they're both kind of trying to outthink the other. They both don't know where everything is. If you're ATLUS, you don't know what's on this 1-2 line. You assume it's kind of everything, but there could be a couple tanks here, right? Vice versa, same thing from Mahou. They don't know what's on the hill. They just know, well, it's the Batchets and a chieftain, and maybe others, maybe not.
Well, and ultimately, in this current situation, I mean, isn't ATLUS in the better position? I mean,
Yes.
they control that hill. That allows them to shoot directly down into Mahou and just bleed them at any direction Mahou decides to push. Like, the best play, in my opinion, for Mahou would be to retake the hill if they can, but they're going to bleed to those chieftains the entire way up.
The thing that I think ATLUS needs to do is they need to recognize they're trying to get as much damage on the Melancholy as they can. They need to not linger too many tanks on the hill. Mahou's not doing what I would expect him to do, but they can leave that chieftain Kika over there to spot out a push. but all they're doing is bleeding time from the enemy, and that's how they should view it. I would be more scared of a K-line push, because if the enemy team were to push K-line and those tanks weren't on the 9-0, and they were in fact on the 1-2, these tanks on the hill are going to be out of the fight for a while.
And it looks like Mahou is kind of getting ready to do a two-pronged thing. It looks like they're going to push up the H line a little bit, as well as put pressure on that hill to try to keep some of those tanks busy. And it does look like Mahou's going to go ahead and take the hill. They're going to go ahead and push that hill. They could draw some tanks away. It looks like they're... Yeah, that would be my guess. They're going to try to go ahead and bait this. See what they can do.
Should be screaming, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 tanks are shooting me on the hill. They're shooting me on the hill. They're shooting me on the hill. So now they know, they should know the exact number, almost to a T, of how many tanks from ATLUS are up here.
And ATLUS is going to go ahead and flex. They're going to go ahead and get into that position to crossfire them as Mahou tries to push up on the hill, but...
That's almost a... I guess you can probe, but, you know, are you going to win this fight?
Well, if anything, I don't think they're going for the... I don't think they're going to win that fight. I think they're going to try to buy time for the tanks that are currently down on the 3 line. I mean, that would be my play, because they've drawn most of the team away. Oh, they are. There they go.
And this is a little bit of a crossfire. They need to focus out. They are going to get this one chieftain. They need to finish it fast, and Sensei's kind of going, oh,
and there's the ammo rack. Big hit. And...
There goes Mata.
Yep, there went Mata. Mahou bleeding a lot of HP on that attempt on a push.
And you can see the counter push coming in on that 5 line, but again, what I was saying is, were they surprised that there were that many tanks on the hill? Because...
I think there was a lot. I think there was confusion, most likely a missed call or something, because Sensei just pushed right out there, and it looked like it was supposed to be a push. So
because Melancholy should be going, I'm getting hit by 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, I mean, we're watching him getting shot by that. You know, he can count how many guns roughly are shooting him. He knows it's not, oh guys, there's just 1 or 2 guys up there. So as long as they kind of understand that, they were pushing into, like, at best equal numbers, and that's not a good area to push into. You need to push in with an overmatch. You need to isolate things and kill it.
No, it really isn't. And here comes the flex. Here come the chieftains and the 50Bs. They're going to go ahead and push Knight out completely, and they're just going to wrap around on 0 and 0.
Yeah, you can see this 50B flex off of the hill. 50B's doing really powerful things with that because they're able to go so fast and they're able to isolate tanks and finish them. These chieftains should die really quickly. Melancholy, you can see over there, is alive, very low. There goes down Zerial. And now this complete envelopment Hitman will be next after 0. 0 goes down. As I try to use the free camera as I swing around. Big Gun's still very healthy. They have the other 279 on the cap, but not for long.
Bober Bell is not, you know, he's going to go down. Big Guns and Melancholy and Hitman are going to hit, what is that, Rita math? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened. I think there was a bit of confusion in the comms.
I don't know how there could be confusion because there were 6.5 minutes left, I think, when that push on the hill started.
I have faith in Bix.
It felt like forcing. It felt like we're going to do this. And we know what tanks they have. And we have batch heads. We're going to get up and open on one of them. And then they're going to send their 50Bs up. And then we're going to isolate them. And we're going to kill them. Fine. But their chieftain was being shot by HE by a lot of guys. And it wasn't just 2 50Bs. It was a chieftains and a 279 shooting at him. And they should know that. You can even hear the difference between some of the shells that would be firing at him. And it felt like, well, I guess they're here. I'm just very confused by it because their reaction should have been, we're either bringing everything to the hill, which they can't really do, or it should have just been, all right, screw it, let's leave, everyone go out, and we're going to just kind of push 1-2, and we're going to put K-line pressure on and make them come to us.
Now, we did go ahead and have one Himmelsdorf fight already, so...
It is not 3-3, it is a 4-2 scoreline. ATLUS is up 4-2. Oh, this...
Yeah, we're kind of in one of the situations where I think they're just gonna leave this one. Yeah, we're just gonna leave this one. Next map will be in 5 minutes. Alright, that works perfectly. But just looking at the damage, like, that 50B again managed to pump out 3.4k. I mean...
Yeah, he did top last time too, didn't he?
He was either top, but he was definitely one of the 50Bs last time, so let's take a look and see. Yeah, he was top 50B last time with 3,700 damage. I mean, those 50Bs, I mean, we made commentary about them as kind of like a haha 50Bs, but they're pumping out the damage if they need to. Nobody did 0 damage in Atlas.
I was a doubter. I was a 50B doubter. Now I'm a believer. I mean, I've had guys before. I've seen Brett in chat and stuff. Like, he's the type of person that's like, put me in a 50B, I'll do 1 billion damage. And you want to argue with him and tell him, no, you can't. Why don't you play this? And he's really stubborn and he does it anyway. And I mean, I think that may be the situation here. I think some of these guys, like a Niggy, I mean, he just did really well. These are not easy tanks to pen. I mean, it was easier in this battle than the last, but just doing a really, really good job. And yeah, that's a 4-2 scoreline. Asia is in the lead.
Yes, they are, and I'm actually I'm not going to say surprised because there's a reason why they won on the Asian server. But it is surprising to see Mahou make mistakes, especially in that last Himmelsdorf fight. And I honestly think there was some miscommunication that went on that led to Sensei losing all of his HP with that ammo rack. To just I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a, it feels like hubris. Sometimes people force it, and you just don't have to. It's something you end up outthinking yourself. And sometimes the simpler thing is staring you right in the face, and you just need to not do it. But like you said, the first game from Atlas was by far their worst. That was an awful turtle strategy with awful tank choice, and when I saw that, I went, oh no, this is going to be a blowout. Every single game since then has been night and day. Like, every single one has been absolutely great by Atlas. They played well. They bring pretty much the right comp on every map, and they've done hyper aggression, and they've done good reaction. They've done map control. They've done everything that they should do, and they're not very predictable. They're they don't have one speed. They can do a bunch of different things. They're either, hey, we're gonna go hyper aggressive this time, but we may not next time. We're gonna play it slow. They're doing it with splits, not too much one way or the other, and it's really good. It's keeping, I think, Mahou on their toes.
I mean, it's best of 13, but
and North America is getting later and later, and in Asia it is getting, well, later and later as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what 1 o'clock 1 o'clock p.m. in Australia right now. So
they're waking up a little bit more with each hour. They're they're getting more into the prime of the day. Meanwhile, NA, if it goes to it's 12:45 on the East Coast right now, and we're at 4-2.
What do you mean? 1 a.m. is prime day? Of course it is. Yeah. I honestly think that this more has something to do with the fact that Australia is a day ahead of us, so they obviously knew the results and of what Mahou was going to bring. If we're going to go full conspiracy theorist.
The battle is up, and actually it has 1 minute.
Yes, it does. And
so Sand River, I said this before. Now, maybe it's the ping for the NA players, but again, it's an even spread. Atlas has to deal with it in the first 4 games. Sand River, if there was a map, if Mahou gets 2-0'd here, I think that it may be over. It would be 6-2, obviously, but this has always been Mahou's strength. I've never seen them uncomfortable on Sand River. The only thing I can say, sometimes they may be guilty of overthinking themselves because they're like, well, we've done these 4 things that work. Let's try a 5th, right? Instead of just going, maybe we should just stick to the 4 that work, right? But they will be playing with ping, and it is a very open map. They like to do these little splits with like 3 tanks here, 4 tanks there, and 2 tanks here. Like, they like that type of gameplay where they do those small, like, platoon-based groups. And if they can do that here, we'll see how it works. Meanwhile, Atlas, I have no idea what to expect. I just expect a lot of 907.
Well, I honestly think at this point, Mahou just needs to kind of take a step back, breathe, and refocus. Because I'm sure there's more than quite a few people that are upset at this point. Tempers are flaring, frustrations are high. So, will they be able to rebound a little bit? Most likely. But, it's going to depend on how they're able to react. Again, Atlas with the IS-7s.
Yeah, and Mahou will be on defense this time, in case anyone was curious. And they are on defense on the eastern half of the map. The IS-7s are not necessarily a bad choice. Maybe it's okay. If they have specific positions they want them to play, it's okay.
Interesting choice by Mahou, though. Very interesting choice by Mahou, though, bringing the 2 CGCs on a defense.
Yes, that...
With a 10-minute timer as well. That I think is the real thing. That's the real, really what's going to be the deciding factor here is whether or not those two already are able to put out the damage that they need to in order to make
So let's see
ATLUS lose.
Mata and Tankfill level in their EVRs. Will they be able to keep them all wheels on the ground as they both head south? Mahou's done this a lot in the past, especially when they see one single tank, light tank on the enemy team, one EVR. They very rarely will split their EVRs. They'll say, well, if the EVR decides to scout north, that's fine, but if he's down here,
they can both pick up.
We're gonna kill him.
Exactly. Mahou, or looks like Big Guns is going to go ahead and take some damage, though, because that DVR did go ahead and light the mid, so those 907s did get lit. They are going to take some fire from those chieftains that are in F1 on that little hill ridge area. But it does look like Mahou's going to go ahead and take control of the south, which is, pretty defensible, considering the way the cap is set up for this map.
Yeah, and they're just going to kind of take it because it's given to them. Mata and who's the other one? Is it Feldwebel? Yeah.
Bix, yeah.
Were able to get all the intel they needed. They saw the I-7. They just know, hey, they're just not here. We know exactly how many tanks we want to send, and now we're going to split and see how many 907s they want to send north, because they know the enemy team is playing north, almost certainly. Some things with scouting, guys, you don't necessarily need to see the enemy team. You can also see where they are not. And if you see where they are not, you can usually deduce where they are. And right now they know, hey, there aren't 12 tanks that are ready to push us in the south. They can't be there. Just mathematically, they can't be there. And so that means they have to prepare for a big push in the north, and they're trying to get into positions, defensive positions there to deal with it.
The main thing that Mahou needs to take consideration of right now is they just need to stop bleeding in their 907s directly in the mid. Because two of their tanks are down a shot at this point, and the those chieftains that are in F2 and in what, D3, D4, depending on where those 907s there. Yeah, Zerial taking another big hit from the Artie.
Artakade, that was a big Arta shot, and it hurt. This 907 position it's
precarious.
Yes, it is on a razor's edge. It is very powerful because the enemy has to push in and deal with you, but you also are really you're going to get artied for a while. And you can't really move too far one way or the other, and you're stuck. They can try to run out through the buildings into that ditch, but they're kind of inviting a push. They want to be pushed, but they can't crest too high. There's the next arty shot going in.
Not as much damage, but still 200 HP off. And finally, ATLUS takes some damage from Mahou. But up until now, it's been a pretty one-sided fight. Mahou's been bleeding pretty effectively. Big arty hits coming on returned, though. Oh. Damn, almost over 1,000 HP of damage taken off of that I-7.
Down to 500. No. Nipa needs to be careful. If he was just poking over to shoot those 907s, that's exactly what Mahou wants him to do, because look at how high up he is.
It shows that underbelly, and he'll just get hit by those chieftains.
I'm just surprised that the other guys built the wall okay are not actually having shots. I guess they're trying to stay safe, and they're looking at that. It's because the zero line was pushing at the same time. That's why, and they moved the ER. But Tanksfeld level is making an attempt at a daring escape as he made the little jump. He's trying to delay.
And it looks like Sensei Geo, Hitman, and Rainbow Assassin are going to go ahead, and they're trying to make some sort of a play on the 1-2 line. But those two chieftains that are on that F1 ridge, those are so difficult to dig out that it makes it nearly impossible to really put any sort of damage onto them, just because the only thing that they'll show is that turret.
They are incredibly split right now. You can see Half-Light is in an awful spot right now, and Rainbow will end up picking him in a second. Just needs to kill him with one more shot. But Mahou, these 907s and these chieftains can't really support each other, but as I say, that Sensei Super Unicum gets a shot as the push comes in on the 907s.
And here it comes, yes, right on in.
Nipa will not go down first.
Pounced going down.
Pounced goes down, but now Nipa goes down. You can see ST Tank pushing past, and down
Bob
goes
and Zerial down to a one-shot.
Yeah, Mata's going to try to counter push up towards that chieftain, but I don't know if he's going to be able to accomplish much. He just needs to pray things go well. And that the chieftain misses him. He did not miss him. And yeah,
Mata with the full pen.
ATLUS is. Meanwhile, they have to push the one line, which they don't want to do because they don't have that much HP over there. Because what are they going to do? Go back to base? They can't really go back to base.
No, they're pretty stuck there because as soon as they leave, those two chieftains are just going to get shots at.
Mata did kill him, or he may have had.
No, it was a full hesh pen on the chieftain's ass, so it did full pen.
I thought he had more than 500 health.
Oh, and another pick by Mata. Mata just going absolutely mad. Oh, and there's the pick. There goes Matt.
And-
The ABR managed to get the flex on him.
Yes.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, I mean, Mahou still has 4 chieftains almost completely out of this fight.
This is awkward. They actually have a lot more HP than I thought they did, but ATLUS
Oh,
can't
that was a
really push.
big hit.
Oh my god.
That was a
Artie.
hit. That was a full Artie pen on Hitman, and I'm pretty sure that was
Can't take the
for...
first volley. Oh, a bounce out there. They both need to pen Rainbow. Okay, it looks like Aniki's going forward for the kill
Yeah,
on the next guy.
the Mahou one-line push is going to die. That Artie hit almost 100% sealed it. As soon as that hit came
It was
in.
sort of close before that, or at least where they would trade efficiently or okay. But the thing is, there's just nobody left. There's nobody left. This is going to be an ATLUS victory.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an ATLUS victory. And I honestly think it comes down to the fact that those two Artie weren't able to... Well, we'll see on the after battle results screen, but I think bringing two Artie for 10-minute battle timer was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I think Mahou usually when they're given a little nibble they take it. And they took all the way to G1, and I'm not 100% sure they wanted to take that, because when they did it, they just ended up with a lot of tanks kind of committed, because they committed those. We talked about the precarious, right, of that 907 position, but they did the 907 position and they did G1. That's a lot of...
It's too spread.
Yeah.
They could have left 2 tanks back on like that J1 corner just to be able to watch the F1 hill, and then brought everything back and to cover the 907s, and it probably would have been, I mean, I don't want to say a win, but maybe a little bit more even in the west hand, or the east side of the map.
Yeah, I think they could have done one or the other. If they wanted H1 or G1, that's actually fine, but I just don't think they can put the three 907s, maybe one 907 there, but not 3 907s there, right? Or if they didn't do G1, they would maybe be holding 3 or something a little safer, maybe J2 possibly with 1 tank, and just be a little bit closer to base so they can support the 907s a little better. But when they did both, ATLUS again just waited. They were like, okay, this is the number system. They just sent the right numbers. They were able to hold the 1 line because they had about equal number of chieftains, and they just sent the rest over to 9-0, and they had enough to overwhelm the push.
Definitely interesting, and with that, ATLUS will be up 5-2. And we will be heading into the last battle for this little stretch on the Hong Kong server.
Indeed. We look at the post-battle stats, you can see, okay, doing okay damage. 3750 damage. Tedster doing 3,500 and 2 kills in his Arta. Sensei Super Unicum doing 2,500, followed by Mr. Emu, and then Swamp Cabbage at 2k. Meanwhile, Hornet, 3,500 in his GWE. He only brought 1 artillery.
Just by himself, yeah.
ST Tank doing good. 5 kills.
Yeah, he was part of that push on the 907 group and was just able to get the kills that they needed.
Yeah, and then Kagome getting 4 kills and 2,800 damage in his EBR. He was the single EBR from their team, but he just flexed around sniping, getting the little picks like we saw with the finishing off Mata and the like. He was just doing the little Reaper, doing the little pick. And then there was a lot that kind of didn't get going, some of those chieftains, but they were part of that kind of push at the end, some of them, and that's just kind of, sometimes you end up being the guy that dies in one of the pushes on one of the sides. Yeah, 5-2 scoreline, just the thing, and we have about a minute and a half until the next battle begins.
Just double checking that I have readied up.
Exactly. Good idea.
Yep, we have learned that tonight.
Yep. I have made that mistake before. I will make it again as well. No worries.
I'm kind of interested to see exactly how the chats react to that, in all honesty. That's going to be fairly interesting in itself.
Yeah, I think that the initials were great from both teams, to be honest. I think they both did good initials. I think it was just that second and third step. I think it was that split from Mahou that really just... They ended up with incapable of reacting anymore to what ATLUS was doing. They were then receiving everything they did. They couldn't adjust their numbers anywhere. And Mahou likes to attack. And now they're going to be on attack, not defense. And again, Sand River is a hard map to attack, but if there's a team that can do it, it should be Mahou. But ATLUS, I don't expect to be bringing 8 IS-7s and sitting in K0 this round.
I think
they're going to bring a flex force of Chieftains and 907s and some 279s to anchor a couple spots, and that'll be that.
You know, we keep scoffing at those IS-7s, but you know what? I mean,
it's
they're doing damage and they're winning. So I mean, you know, it's
nothing beats an IS-7 turret.
it really does.
Is just godly in terms of just look. You need eyes somewhere. You just bring an IS-7. So yeah, we're getting into the next battle.
And with
Who do you guys think is going to win? Is this it for Mahou? Are they going to bring it back, bring it 3-5, or is it going to be a 6-2 scoreline when we switch back to the NA? So looking at the lineups, woo wee, Mahou. Let's simplify the wheel. Chieftains, 1 907, 2 EBRs, and an artillery. Meanwhile, ATLUS bringing 3 EBRs, 2 artillery,
an STB,
a bunch of chieftains.
Yeah, this is going to be more of a straight-up brawl, I have a feeling.
This could be a sign of, I'm going to probably say, this isn't Mahou's typical lineup, but here's the thing.
I think they're pissed off now.
Just go hard stats. Yes, I think you go hard stats. Sometimes you simplify things. You don't make it too many moving parts, and you just try to make it. So ATLUS going for the safe route. They don't want to be spotted at the beginning. 1 EBR is going mid, 1 EBR is going south. And
hard Mahou push up the E line. Looks like they are going to do a split. They're going to send some chieftains mid, and they're going to send some chieftains up to that ridge on D6.
Yes, and ooh, Kagome going down to 1 shot. Oh, but Mana gets picked.
Yes, he does.
Chieftains.
That is an unfortunate pick for Mahou.
Very good shooting from ATLUS, and now Kagome's coming back again, but I don't think he was able to spot these guys. Oh, the Sensi Super Unicum does get lit from the middle, so these chieftains are lit, and Kagome will get out.
But they're going to go hard. They're going really hard right up that middle line, right with those chieftains. Mahou's going to go ahead and get right into the G7, that G7 pocket, but they're going to keep those chieftains up and back to make them have to poke over into them.
Have some indecisions. I mean, I like this move by Yamato Noob, but it has to couple with the K-line push or something, because they're going to try to sit on this high ground and pick these tanks apart, but they can be very exposed afterwards, and down goes Bix really fast, and the HP is still about even. But they have to be decisive here, because you can see Ridomat is going to die next. He goes down, and the EBRs are running, and one is just doing a little bit of a roly-toly. Okay, Kagome, be careful. But what will happen to Yamato Noob? He's
looks like
it's awkward.
And it does look like Knight, Hitman, and is that Pounced are gonna. They're trying to get some shots in. They're gonna go ahead and get Yamato Noob down a little bit, but you know, will they be able to finish that pick? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Mahou isn't the type that would do these blind pushes like this, but that seems to be all that we're seeing from them.
This is disjointed though from ATLUS. Their response. Yamato Noob was hanging out here for 45 seconds. I've been watching, waiting for his team to show up.
Swamp Cabbage is going to go ahead and take a big hit, and he's down as well.
And now 2 chieftains. This is what needed to happen immediately when Yamato Noob was there. He saw it clearly and was like, why is everyone just kind of hanging out on the K-line? Let's go, 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 go. And he just kind of hung out for a while, and now the team eventually figured it out, but he's dead.
But Mahou, at the same time, like, they baited those 3 tanks into the bowl, and they have the high ground, but, you know, they're very spread out. All it's going to take is really just one big push in one direction from ATLUS, and they can just crush the side.
Yeah, they could have lost just one